All right, let's just get right into it. We all have one, right? That perfectly written list of all the things we swear we're going to get done today. But what if I told you that very list, your trusted to-do list, might actually be the thing that's wrecking your productivity? I mean, you know the feeling. You've got it all planned out, you've listed the super important tasks, and yet at the end of the day, you kind of look back and where did all that time go? Why does this keep happening over and over again? So, to really get why this happens, we have to look at the main tool we use in this battle for productivity. Let's dig into what I call the to-do list's betrayal and see how our best intentions are basically sabotaged by the very system we trust to keep us on track. And this is just so relatable, isn't it? You start off strong, you tackle that big task, maybe you study for half an hour, you feel good, you put a check mark next to it. So you think, okay, I earned a short break. And that short break, it somehow turns into 3 hours of video games or just endless scrolling and boom, the day's gone. The to-do list gave you this illusion that you were making progress, but the really important stuff, still sitting there, undone. Yeah, we've all been there, right? We beat ourselves up thinking, ugh, I'm just so lazy or I have no discipline. But here's the thing. You're not actually fighting a personal failure. You're fighting your own biology with a seriously flawed strategy. And if you want to win, you have to understand the opponent.
So if it's not about willpower, then what is it? Well, the answer is actually wired into us. Our brain, you see, it just wants the easy way out. And it all comes down to a really powerful little chemical called dopamine.
You know, most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical, that you get it after you do something fun. But that's not quite right. It's a huge misconception. Dopamine is actually released in anticipation of a reward. It's the little voice in your head that says, hey, that thing over there looks easy and fun, go do that. It's literally the engine of our motivation. And this is exactly where the problem lies. Your brain, it doesn't really care about your long-term goals. It's basically a dopamine-seeking machine. Things like scrolling social media or binging a TV show offer a super quick, easy hit of dopamine. Now, compare that to the slow, difficult, delayed reward you get from studying or working on a hard project. When you give it the choice, your brain is almost always going to take the path of least resistance. And that right there is the paradox of the to-do list. It gives you unlimited freedom. It puts study for my final exam right next to a world where your phone, the TV, and your video games are just sitting there. Without any rules or constraints, your brain just naturally drifts towards the easiest, most instantly rewarding thing, leaving your big goals for a tomorrow that, let's be honest, never really shows up. So, if just adding more things to a list is the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, the alternative is a really simple but powerful shift in how you think. Let's talk about the power of not doing, of focusing on what you will not allow yourself to do. A not-to-do list isn't about caging yourself in. It's about strategically getting rid of the junk. It's you, consciously deciding to remove all those easy, high dopamine distractions so that the important, low dopamine work becomes the easiest thing left to do. You're basically designing your environment for success. And really, this is the core idea of this whole explainer. Every time you say no to something trivial, you're creating the space and the mental energy to finally say yes to the things that are actually essential. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually, do it? Let's break down 3 really powerful strategies you can start using right away. First up, we're taking a lesson from one of the most successful investors in history. This is just a brilliant way to get crystal clear on what your real priorities are. So here's how it works. You write down your top 25 goals. Then you have to force yourself to circle only the 5 most critical ones. That becomes your list A. Now, here's the crucial part, the twist. The other 20 goals, that's not your I'll get to these when I have time list. No. According to Buffett, that is your avoid at all costs list. These things are the most dangerous distractions because they seem important enough to tempt you, but they're not important enough to actually change your life. You are literally forbidden from working on them until your top 5 are done. All right, strategy number 2. This one cleverly leans into our natural tendency to put things off, but it redirects that energy for a really positive outcome. So what you do is you categorize everything you could possibly do into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is your vital, most important work. Tier 3 is just pure useless distraction, scrolling, binge watching, you name it. And Tier 2, that's for things that are useful but not critical, like cleaning your desk or answering some emails.
The whole strategy is to create a not-to-do list that completely bans anything from Tier 3. That way, when you inevitably feel like procrastinating on your big Tier 1 task, your only other option is to do something productive from Tier 2. You end up procrastinating on writing your thesis by cleaning your entire apartment. See? It's a total win-win.
Now, this last strategy, this one is probably the most counterintuitive of them all, but it is incredibly powerful for taking the wind out of the sails of your favorite escape tactics. So instead of fighting the urge to procrastinate, you actually schedule it. I mean, you literally write it down. From 2 to 2:20 p.m., I will scroll TikTok and look for funny videos. By taking this unconscious, impulsive escape and turning it into a conscious, planned task, something really weird happens. It stops being fun. It starts to feel like a chore. The rebellious little thrill is just gone, and you'll probably find that you'd rather just get back to your real work. When you take a step back and look at all of these strategies, you start to see they all revolve around one central, kind of paradoxical idea, that there is real freedom to be found in setting constraints. You know, we think we want total, unlimited freedom, but it often just leads to paralysis and a whole lot of guilt. We end up spending more time thinking about what we should be doing than actually doing it. But when we create intentional constraints, when we build ourselves a not-to-do list, we get rid of all those distracting choices. And that is what creates true freedom. The freedom to focus, the freedom to take action, and the freedom to actually enjoy our downtime without feeling guilty. And look, this isn't some new age productivity hack. This is ancient wisdom. Philosophers like the Stoics knew that real freedom isn't about getting to do whatever you want. It's about not being a slave to your every impulse. By setting your own rules, you start to weaken the power of all those external temptations. And that really is the final takeaway here. A not-to-do list isn't a cage. Think of it more like a rudder on a ship. It's what allows you to steer your time and your energy directly toward the things that matter the most to you, instead of just being tossed around by the random currents of distraction. So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Take a look at your biggest, most important goals. Now, what is the one thing you could put on your not-to-do list starting today that would make achieving those goals almost inevitable?